They said season 6 would be different, but no one was ready for this. The moment Jesus stood there, blood on his face, hands tied, wearing a purple robe and the crown of thorns, everything changed. And even though the chosen team has kept most crucifixion footage hidden, what we've seen so far is enough to break your heart. This isn't just another scene. This is the moment history turned upside down. And what they've filmed, the details, the pain, the look in his eyes, it's almost too much to bear. New behind-the-scenes images from The Chosen Season 6 are slowly starting to surface, and fans are already struggling to hold back tears. It's not just because of what's happening, it's because of how real it all feels. In one image, Jesus is wearing a dark purple robe. Not the official one the Romans would have picked, but something that looks borrowed. Like Caiaphas threw it at him just to mock him. The crown of thorns is crooked. Blood is smeared across his cheeks. And there's still this strange peace on Jonathan Rumi's face, even though his body is bruised and his eyes are full of pain. You can tell from the photos alone that this is not a scene being taken lightly. According to sources close to the production, they filmed the Scourging just days ago, and even with very little footage available, it's clear that this is going to be the most intense and emotionally devastating episode of the entire series. For weeks, the production team has been trying to keep these moments under wraps, but fans on set have been whispering. They've been describing what they saw: Jesus walking through a crowd with his hands tied, Roman guards surrounding him, and something that made everyone go silent: the moment the whip struck. Even if it was only acting, the air went cold. The Chosen has never tried to sugarcoat the pain of the gospel story, but what they're doing this season feels different. They're not just telling the story, they're making you feel it. And that's exactly why fans are having such a strong emotional reaction. Even in the small moments, like a glance from Peter in the crowd, or the way Mary looks when she sees her son, there's this weight pressing down. One photo shows Peter head covered in a black hood hiding in a crowd. You can see his eyes just barely, but even there's fear, guilt, and deep, soul-crushing sorrow. People are saying this might be the lead-up to Peter's denial, or perhaps the moment he sees Jesus being beaten. Either way, the heartbreak is already there. And it's only going to get worse. That's what's so hard about watching this season unfold. We already know how the story ends, but somehow The Chosen makes us feel like we're right there again, unsure, desperate, begging for a different outcome. Then there's the conversation fans cannot stop talking about: Peter and Judas. We haven't seen the full footage yet, but behind-the-scenes images confirm that a long, emotional scene was filmed between them. Judas looks tired, broken, as if he knows exactly what he's done and cannot live with it. And Peter, whose own regret will come soon, is standing there probably trying to understand how it all came to this. What will they say to each other? Will Peter lash out? Or will Judas explain why he did what he did? The show is taking creative liberties here because Scripture doesn't tell us what their final interaction was like. But The Chosen has always handled those moments with care, and if the emotional weight of the other scenes is anything to go by, this one will crush us. The filming of mass crucifixions has already begun, and it's nothing short of brutal. Hundreds of background actors stood in a field, each one taking their place on a cross. It wasn't just staged suffering, it was bitter cold, and some of the actors were shaking between takes. The crew even asked for prayers because the filming conditions were so difficult, and yet they kept going because they knew what this meant. They knew the story had to be told in full. What's even more emotional is knowing that Jonathan Rumi hasn't filmed the actual crucifixion scenes yet. Or if he has no one on set, is allowed to say a word. That's how serious the team is about protecting this part of the story. It's not just about spoilers, it's about reverence, about portraying the most important moment in the life of Jesus with as much care, truth, and emotional power as possible. In his last interview, Jonathan said he was mentally preparing for the role, losing weight, trying to understand the depth of what Jesus went through. And now seeing him in costume, seeing the beginning of that journey, it's overwhelming. Another scene that caught everyone off guard was the return of Matthias, the mysterious watcher who's now clearly become part of the group. In one of the behind-the-scenes clips, he's speaking with Big James. We can't hear what they're saying, but they're watching something closely. Maybe Jesus being taken, maybe the Pharisees meeting behind closed doors. It's clear this season won't just focus on Jesus, but on how everyone around him reacts to what's happening. The fear, the silence, the denial, the betrayal. It's all coming together now, and for those of us who followed this show from the beginning, it's gut-wrenching. And if all that wasn't enough, we're also seeing John and Peter sneaking through rooftops trying to spy on the very people who've taken Jesus. They're scared, unsure of what to do next and desperate to stay close to him. But even from the shadows, they can see what's coming. One fan theory suggests they're watching Caiaphas' house, trying to figure out where Jesus has been taken next, and when they realize he's going to Pilate, it'll be too late. The wheels are already in motion. The trials, the beatings, the mocking, the silence from heaven. It's all happening, and we can't look away, not anymore. As the storm builds in, The Chosen Season 6, the emotional pressure is becoming unbearable. Everything is collapsing. The disciples are splitting apart. The Sanhedrin is closing in. And Jesus, he's already been handed over. What we're witnessing is the unraveling of every hope the characters once had. And what makes it all more heartbreaking is that they don't even understand yet. They still think there's a way out, that Jesus might fight back, that a miracle will save him. But we know the truth, and that truth makes every moment feel heavier. Dallas Jenkins, the creator of The Chosen, warned fans months ago, Season 6 would be the darkest yet. And he wasn't exaggerating. One scene reportedly had the entire cast crying after the cameras stopped rolling. It wasn't just acting, it was grief. The kind of grief you carry home. The kind of grief that stays with you. Because this isn't just a show to them, it's something sacred. Jonathan Rumi, who's portrayed Jesus since Season 1, is now walking straight into the most excruciating chapter of Christ's life, and his transformation is stunning. His eyes look more hollow, his body more fragile, his voice more tired. You can tell he's bearing the weight of it all, not just as an actor, but as someone who believes. And while Jesus is being dragged from court to court, those who once followed him are losing faith. One of the most painful images leaked from set shows Mary Magdalene alone in a dark alley, her hands trembling, her face streaked with tears. We don't know what scene it's from, but fans are already guessing. It could be the moment she hears that Jesus has been condemned, or worse, the moment she sees him fall beneath the weight of the cross. The show has always centered Mary's emotional journey. From her healing in Season 1 to her breakdown and return in Season 2, she's been one of the hearts of the series. And now that heart is breaking again. Because this time, there's no healing, not yet. Just silence, and where is Judas? That's the question everyone's asking. Because as of now, the show hasn't shown the moment of betrayal, but we know it's coming. Fans are bracing for it. The money bag, the kiss, the cold, cruel irony of calling Jesus rabbi as soldiers drag him away. But The Chosen isn't just going to rush past it. No, they're going to linger in it. They're going to make us feel the weight of that kiss, the most devastating betrayal in human history. And when Judas finally realizes what he's done, when the silver is no longer enough, it will be the most soul-crushing scene we've ever seen in the series. Some believe Judas will try to return the money on screen. Others think he'll run to the edge of the city walls, weeping, unable to undo what he's done. Either way, the tragedy is coming, and yet while everyone else runs, there's one man walking straight toward the cross, Simon of Cyrene. His name hasn't been mentioned yet, but behind the scenes casting announcements suggest he's already been chosen. That means that scene, The one where Jesus collapses under the weight of the cross, where Simon is pulled from the crowd to carry it with him, is being prepared. That moment of shared suffering, of a stranger stepping in when no one else will. It's one of the most powerful moments in the gospel, and the chosen is setting it up quietly, carefully. It's not just about brutality, it's about compassion even in the darkest hour, and then there's the cross itself. Production insiders have confirmed that full-scale crucifixion rigs are being built, real wood, real height, and harsh desert light. Not green screens, not quick edits, real shadows, real sky. When Jesus is finally nailed to the cross, they want the audience to feel it, to sit in the silence, to witness what the disciples could not stop. The show won't hold your hand through it. It will devastate you, because it has to. Because anything less wouldn't be true to the story. But this heartbreak, this unrelenting grief, it's not the end. That's the strange beauty buried under all the pain. Even as Jesus is mocked, beaten and lifted high above the crowd, the chosen is whispering something deeper. This is not defeat. The crucifixion isn't the final blow, it's the beginning of something far greater. And while Season 6 will break us, it will also remind us why we believed in the first place. Still, we're not there yet. First, we have to endure the silence, the fear, the shouts of "Crucify him," the trembling hands, the sound of a hammer echoing over the hill. And in the middle of it all, Jesus, silent, obedient, bleeding, for them, for us. Season 6 isn't just a show anymore, it's an experience, a journey into grief, betrayal, and impossible love. And by the time the final episode airs, we won't be the same. We can already feel it. Because just like the early followers, we've walked with him, laughed with him, and learned from him. Now we have to watch him die. And no matter how many times we've heard the story, nothing can prepare us for seeing it like this.